Way up.
Way up. I feel blessed.
I feel blessed.
I feel blessed.
I feel blessed.
I don't.
Okay, ready?
My life's horrible.
They're all black, you fucking moron.
Hi, welcome to ScreenShare, a movie podcast about the movie Waves. Adam, how are you today?
This podcast, every episode's about the movie Waves.
You've ruined my life again.
That's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do.
That's Adam Cook. I'm Calder Miss Wood.
It's true.
This episode, our third in the romance movies month.
Last week was 10 Things I Hate About You.
And I've got more than 10 things I hate about you, sir.
List them.
Face, hair, nose, mouth, eye left, eye right, eyebrow left. These are ranked as well.
Oh, okay.
Ear, tooth number 16, chin, beard, neck, this little hair follicle right there.
Okay, thank you.
And that I just lied and you didn't hate me.
Oh, thanks, man.
Brought it right back around.
Wait, you hate that I don't hate you when you lie?
Now, this movie... this
Waves.
movie isn't your most traditional romance.
No. In
It's-
fact, about 2/3 through the movie, I wrote down that this shouldn't count as a romance movie, but I kind of changed
But here's
my
the thing. My argument is, love's messy. Sometimes love doesn't go the way you want it to go. Now, I should preface before we go any further, I highly recommend you watch this movie before we talk about it, because there is, like, an actual spoiler that I think is, like...
Yeah, there's something
real.
that,
like saying that at the end of 10 Things I Hate About You, they're together isn't really a spoiler, because if they're not...
I mean,
like-
you probably assume. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, this movie is something where, like, there's a couple beats in the movie that, like... It doesn't ruin the movie if you know about them.
But it's
like,
so much better if you don't, or if you've forgotten like you have.
Yeah. Before, I didn't realize until halfway through the movie that Calder had actually spoiled this movie for me before, and I had just forgotten about it.
We were driving to the Scotia.
We were driving to Nova Scotia.
And Matt, our other friend, is a big anime boy.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, you know, he talks about whatever his
I
medical
dabble.
history. We'll leave that untouched.
Did you say talk about history?
Your medical history.
Oh, my medical history.
How parts on your body don't work right. You can cut that out.
I was just gonna not say anything because I was trying to
And I
figure
was
out what
like-
you're alluding to.
But then I was like, no one, like, you guys like movies, but not the kind that I like also. And they're like, talking about a movie. And I was like, okay, well, there's this one that I really like.
yeah.
And it's called Waves.
Mhm.
And then I told
This
him
movie.
the spoiler, which I guess we'll just go spoiler from now on.
Well, let's just give general thoughts about the movie
Okay.
first, and then we'll give
So
a
let me-
spoiler warning.
I'll do a little introduction.
Sure.
Hi, welcome to ScreenShare, a movie podcast about the movie Waves.
Yeah.
This movie is directed by Trey Edward Schultz,
Okay.
this is his third movie he's made. No fourth movie. Most recent one. His first one was called Krisha.
Okay.
Made it for $30,000
Oh, that's cheap.
in his, like, someone's he's related to's house. It's about his aunt coming to a family gathering, and she's had some, like, issues in the past, and there's, like, a bit of a reckoning that happens. His second one is It Comes at Night, which I saw advertised as, like, a bit of a zombie thriller.
Okay.
And it is a thriller, but there's not as much of a zombie element or, like, horror element, but I still think it's good. It's very tense. I saw that with in theaters with Hillary, and she was like, I didn't like that one. There wasn't any monsters. And I was like, yeah, kind of weird.
Okay.
And then Waves. All three have been A24 movies.
Of course.
But this was his biggest one so far, and I think his best one of the three. The other ones, you can kind of look at them and they're, like, commendable, but this is like a real film. Those are like one location kind of indie movies. This is like, oh, this guy's making a movie,
yeah.
you know? And what this movie is about a African-American family. I feel weird saying African American because I feel like
Me too. Like, I'm pretty sure the
Not everyone's
discussion around that
African.
has like kind of ebbed and flowed and changed over the past couple decades. But like the Crave movie description does say African American family. So
and the sort of struggles that they're going through, they're upper middle class, I'd say, living in Florida. The son is like a wrestling prospect, a senior in high school, and he's got a lot of like sort of stresses and issues about being successful in the future. Like, what's his future going to look like? Doing well in wrestling.
yeah.
His relationship, he's in a relationship with Alexa Demi, who is of Euphoria fame, and the son is
And
played by
the character's name is Alexis.
Whoa.
So that's like not a far
and it's
reach.
probably her life story.
Well, this movie's a documentary.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not true.
And the son's played by Kelvin Harrison Jr., who's an actor I really like. And
he's
in
great.
that awkward moment thing, we talked about like young actors who we like and like would be good. He's been in a lot of stuff. Like he was in Trial of the Chicago 7. He was in Elvis.
know that.
He played like Frank. It's same like man that's in Judas and the Black Messiah that Daniel Kaluuya plays.
Mm-hmm.
But I forget what the guy's name is.
Yeah.
But it's Frank something.
Yeah. Good movie.
And he played B.B. King in Elvis. But
Okay.
he's like got these sort of bit parts. He's got another movie coming out this year, a Canadian movie called Brothers. That's like he's in a little bit more, but he's not like getting big roles where he's the star, but he's incredible in this movie.
Oh yeah, he's great. I did keep thinking throughout the movie that like I'd love to see him in like because this movie, his character deals with like a lot of stresses, and it's kind of a very like uptight kind of frantic movie a little bit at times. So like I just kept thinking I'd love to see him in a more like, I don't know, a role where he can like show his charisma a bit more, because I feel like he would really shine in a role like that.
Because there's like his 3 minutes in Elvis, you're like, he's got something.
Yeah.
But it's like Elvis, there's like, it's insane. It's an insane movie.
Yeah.
Elvis is. This also
Elvis
isn't
is.
a bit. Taylor Russell plays the sister. She was in the Cannibal movie with Timmy Chalamet, Bones and all.
Okay.
And then she was also in her other like, she's got a bit of a franchise, the Escape Room movies.
Oh yeah.
She's the star of those.
Oh, really? I didn't
And she's
know that.
pretty good in those as well.
Well, she's great in this.
And she is great in this as well.
She's probably my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
I'd say.
I think she also plays, because her character is understated, sort of like the forgotten child in the family is like how I would describe her.
Yeah.
And I think she plays that really well. Even in the scenes where like at the beginning when she's just kind of there. Like I don't know if she has more than 20 lines of dialogue at the start of the movie.
Yeah,
She's got one
She kind
scene-
of
yeah.
is just there to kind of support the character of her brother.
Yeah.
For most of the movie, and it kind of she works at that, and then like also when like she does get more prominent scenes, she's also kind of shines. She's also kind of shines.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But yeah, I think overall, like before we get into spoiler territory, this movie's like I'd say it qualifies as a romance movie, but like the way I was describing it to you, and this is kind of the case for next week's movie,
About Time.
About Time.
It's
where
about
it's more
time
of
we
just
did
like
About Time.
it's more of just a life movie. Like it's more of just like a movie about like what life is, what family is like how relationships work.
Yeah.
Like the effort you have to put into them. Like not just romantic relationships, but like sibling relationships, parent relationships, friendships, like all of these things. So I think that, but we're doing back-to-back movies at the end of this month here that are like kind of romance, but I'd say About Time is a bit more romance than Waves is.
It's a little more like whimsical.
Yeah. But
Well,
like,
actually a lot more whimsical.
well, it's a lot more just like pure or like,
yeah,
like
sweet.
Yeah, it's very sweet. But both good, or I was about to say Good Time. That's not a romance movie.
Hey, it's
Hey,
a
I
romance
haven't
between
seen
him and his brother.
Oh yeah,
You'll
But,
see. You'll watch it next month.
true.
Bit of a
Spoiler.
tease.
But About Time, and then also this movie Waves. They're kind of just like life family movies. I wouldn't say it's a movie to watch with your family. One of the main things I wrote down was that, like, this is a movie I wouldn't recommend to everyone, but I wish everyone would watch.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I don't think everyone would enjoy this movie, but I think everyone would take something from this movie.
Yeah.
So,
And it's, like, probably the most criminally underrated A24 movie that I
had
can
never
think
heard
of.
of it until you, like, suggested it.
like. It should be much more seen than it is. And Sterling K. Brown, like, didn't really get that much from this movie, but he's incredible in it.
The dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also one of the biggest stars on TV too, and it just kind of like, I guess there's a different audience for This Is Us and this. But like also it's not a completely different audience.
No, not completely.
So
And he has, like, such a good blank stern face where he's just like, if he just looks blankly at someone, I'm like,
You're
oh,
like, oh,
he's
fuck.
angry. Yeah. Kind of like Bryan Cranston, where, like, as soon as he goes blank face, it's just like, uh-oh. Maybe it's the goatees. Maybe that's what it is.
I could see that. The goatee is a powerful facial hair.
Yeah.
I think you could probably
Pull off, be looking
prime minister
angry.
if you had a goatee.
Oh, wow. Thanks, man.
I did write down here that Calvin Harrison is going to be playing Taka in Mufasa the Lion King, which I think is the next live action one directed by Barry Jenkins.
Oh, wait. Is it a prequel? I thought it was a sequel.
I have no clue.
I was hoping that the new live action Lion King was going to be Lion King 2 Simba's Pride featuring Kovu.
I don't think they're doing that. But I have no clue. Like,
They should.
I
It's a
tried to
good movie.
look up what this was on IMDb and there was like nothing about it. So
I like how the live action Lion King came out and people went, didn't really want this and it's fine. We didn't really like it. And Disney goes, we're going again. Anyway. So overall thoughts on Waves. I really liked it a lot. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, but I think that it's a movie that kind of changes your perspective.
and it also kind of universalizes some struggles where I think there's a lot of people who think things are like, and not in a selfish way, but they think struggles are very specific to them
Yeah.
and their identity and their things. But like, I relate a lot to the son in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things where I was like, it's like a little too close to home for me.
Yeah.
And then I also relate a lot to the daughter.
Yeah.
where you're
I
just kind of
relate a
like
lot to the daughter as well.
The one that fades away
Yeah.
in the family, where you're just like, it's okay. He's got a lot. You're dealing with a lot with him. So I'm just going to kind of like back up.
I'm not going to, like, add to the stresses
Yeah.
of this family by, like, worrying you with my problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's I guess our spoiler-free discussion.
Yeah.
Highly recommend you watch it before listening to this conversation. But if you literally just don't care, then, well,
Hey,
prepare to get this
amen.
movie spoiled.
Bless
All right.
up.
Jumping into spoiler territory in 5, 4,
4,
3, 2,
2,
1.
Happy
He kills
New
her.
Year.
He kills his
Oh.
girlfriend.
Yeah. Okay.
We're just jumping
Manslaughter, involuntary.
in. Yeah, involuntary
I think it's
manslaughter.
involuntary.
I mean, I don't know how, like, accurate it is to the actual law, but, like,
He got a lot of time.
he
for
got
that.
30 years for involuntary. Like, obviously he committed murder.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't realize involuntary manslaughter would be
maybe
30
it's not
years.
Involuntary, right? I think involuntary.
Well, no, they
is
said
like-
it in the movie.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
Or actually, no,
it's
maybe
also-
I'm mixing it up because I just read the headline about Alec Baldwin and the whole, like, gun thing.
I think it's probably just manslaughter.
Okay.
Because, like, or maybe it's just murder. Like, it might actually just be a murder charge.
I think it was involuntary murder of the second degree. I think is what
Okay.
they labeled it as, maybe.
I
But,
have
like,
a vague understanding of what that means, but I have no clue.
I did kind of get that it was like 30 years, but I think it was like after 10 years parole.
Yeah.
I think
On, like, good behavior kind
on
of
good
thing.
behavior, which, like, I completely get why they do that because he was very clearly,
And
like,
he's 18 years old.
he's 18 years old. He was very apologetic. He was clearly having a very rough time.
And I think intoxicated as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah. So sorry I just jumped right into spoilers, but we gave you ample time to get out of
I
here.
was going to do a bit where I said Happy New Year's and then we pretended to kiss.
Oh, well, then I'm glad that I said the other thing. I'll be honest, your lips look very chapped from over here.
How about now? How about?
Yeah, I want your saliva in my mouth. That's definitely what... You did it.
Yeah,
he did it.
It tastes good, huh? You like that taste?
Tastes like blood.
Yeah, because I got open wounds in here.
I got about 17 canker sores in my mouth.
Yeah, and I keep biting on them. And reopening them.
And not by accident. I like doing it.
Yeah, it hurts, and I like it.
That's absolutely disgusting.
So, the thing about this movie that is like incredible to me, cost $6 million.
Very cheap.
But-
that's good. And it looks great.
Yeah, it's shot incredibly well. And a thing that this director does, or has done basically since he started in, I think it was 2013 when Krisha came out, maybe 15. I don't have the exact year here. But he just uses digital filmmaking technology like really well, and he'll do really inventive things with it. One of the shots that is sort of like repeated in this movie is in Krisha. I think he just puts it on like a lazy Susan in the kitchen while they're all preparing the Thanksgiving feast. But it like spins around in the kitchen. So like in the opening shot where it's the camera's in the car,
and then they do it later.
Spinning around.
They do the same shot.
I don't know
later,
how they did that. Like truly, honestly, I don't know how they did that.
I wouldn't be surprised if like. Here are my two theories for how they did the revolving camera inside the car shot. Either they just had the camera on like a swivel, and then whichever of the two actors was not being actively shot on camera, they would just like control it and spin it. Or there was someone on the roof
with like a motorized head sort of thing.
Oh, I guess they could have also just like put something in it that's motorized, but I would have just guessed there's someone on the roof just spinning it.
Okay.
Like they could literally just be like crouching on the roof and like holding the camera and turning it.
We're kind of getting in the weeds though, but then you kind of need the car on a trailer. Then you've got to paint out the car that's pulling that one. Right? Because I
don't think you really need a car on a trailer. There's not really a moment where they're doing that spinning shot and they're going really fast.
But for insurance, I don't think you can just have a guy on the roof of a car.
They could probably just get a stunt guy and like attach a harness to the car.
I feel like
it's not in shot.
Occam's razor, it's probably just motorized.
It's probably just motorized.
But like that as an opening shot is like
it's really good.
It really takes you out of being like, this is a movie. It did
stress me out that he had one of his legs out of the window while he's driving.
Oh, he's a horrible driver.
Oh, horrendous.
He's one of the worst drivers I've seen.
Yeah. But just like, since we're on that note anyway, something I really appreciated about this movie a lot as well, because we already spoiled, he accidentally kills his girlfriend basically at the halfway point of the movie. And then
it's like the midpoint, turning point thing.
Yeah. And then like the movie almost immediately shifts into following the perspective of his sister.
Yeah.
And like, you don't even see him. You don't see Tyler for the rest of the movie basically until the very end. So it's just like he's the main character for the first half of the movie, and then he just doesn't exist other than like being mentioned.
I think
but like there's a lot of parallel shots from the first half of the movie with Tyler and his girlfriend Alexis, and then later to his sister Emily and her boyfriend Luke.
Yeah.
Where like they do the revolving car shot. I forget the second example, but there is a second example. It's
a lot of like, there's a lot of stuff that carries throughout the movie to show, even though these are incredibly different circumstances, like it's still kind of the same. Like there's a through line through it all. It affects it all. They're both like kind of the same person. They kind of feel the same things, but like the way they interact with the world is very different, and the way they see the world is very different.
Yeah, I remember the second shot that's the same. Tyler gets like super high and goes, "I can't open my eyes. I can't open my eyes," and he sticks his head out the car window and like sticks his tongue out and is just like has the wind blowing. And then she does that later when she gets high, and she doesn't go, "I can't open my eyes," but she sticks her head out the window while she's high, and it's like the same shot. And they do a lot of that kind of thing to do exactly what you're saying, which is to be like, these are different people, like she has very conflicted feelings about her brother. Like while he's been at the forefront of everyone's attention and mind and she's been in the background, they're still kind of living the same life.
Yeah. Their rooms are connected through the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like there's even that connection between them.
Yeah.
So I think like it does a very good job of showing the sort of negative shit that can happen in a teenager's life as well, and the positive stuff. Because the first half is pretty much all the negative things that like you and I didn't directly experience, I don't think, of like all the drama, all the like horrible stuff. But we know about and we have some inkling towards.
Yeah.
And then there's all the like if you're in a different situation, you can experience all this other great stuff. And like high school can have great moments. Being a young person can like be a great thing. It's not only like trauma and anger and anxiety and like that.
It's all kind of like everybody's got a chance to make the best out of what they've got. It just like really depends on situation and how you react to those situations.
Yeah.
Because Tyler kind of like had everything and then lost one thing, which led to him losing another thing, which led to him losing another thing. And he just like just completely snowballed and spiraled into being like, I have nothing. I'm just going to...
My life's falling apart.
My life's falling apart. I'm just going to like react to all of this very like directly. But then with Emily, she kind of like doesn't really have a lot going on. But then she starts to open up and experience things more. And she kind of faces that with learning from her brother's mistakes.
Yeah.
She faces that with much more like maturity and understanding and appreciation.
And I think it's also speaks to the fact like Tyler did kind of have everything.
Yeah.
But it wasn't everything he wanted really.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of just like with that, like you can say, oh, I want to wrestle. But then your dad constantly putting pressure on you to like make this the thing that gets you a scholarship and like heaping pressure on you about school and about working and about all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like he has everything, but it's become like a horrible influence on his life where it's like it's crushing him that he has everything.
Yeah, like the first like 20 minutes of the movie is basically just establishing that like he's got a lot going for him and he's got a very busy life and a full life.
He's the kid you see in high school and you're like, "Oh, that kid's like got it together."
Yeah.
He's like the cool kid.
But like at the same time, that very same intro is very hectic and frantic, and the editing's kind of like the same way. And it kind of just shows that like, yeah, he kind of has all of this and everything. He's got everything together, but at the same time, he feels overwhelmed. He feels like he's missing something. Like he doesn't really.
And like maybe he doesn't want all of it. Like maybe he just wants to hang out with his girlfriend and like go to parties and do school, not like wrestle and work and do all this other shit.
And like when he goes downstairs, while he does some homework, goes downstairs to talk to his stepmom.
Oh, that scene. I hated that scene.
Yeah, and he just like talks to her for like what?
Literally like a
1
minute,
and then his dad's like, "Why aren't you doing your homework?" He's like, "I'm coming and saying hi to mom." And then he's like, "Well, that just get back to your homework ASAP." And it's like it's one of those things. It's kind of similar to Turning Red, where like I see the mom in Turning Red and I'm like, she's so clearly a loving, caring mom, but like the way that she approaches doing that is very kind of negative.
It's misguided.
Yeah, it's misguided.
Because they want the best, but the way they're approaching it isn't going to give them the best, or it's going to build resentment, or it's going to like lead to negative things.
Yeah. And the dad in this movie is like a little bit more directly that, where he's like very much the, I'm being hard on you because I have to, not because I want to.
And
thing.
I think like, I understand his reasoning in it, because he does like literally spell out the reasoning for it in the movie, where he's like, people like us, basically just African American people in the United States, have to be higher achieving than other people because we don't get the kind of chances.
Yeah, what he says,
I don't know the
he
exact quote,
says
but,
something
like,
we don't have the liberty of
like being mediocre.
average.
Yeah.
We have to work twice as hard to be like an average
or
like
something.
level citizen.
Yeah.
Or like or average like status in
Or like
society.
you work twice as hard to be the same as everyone else.
which is just obviously tragic.
Yeah.
But like I think one of the best parts about this movie is that I understand where everyone is coming from and why everyone does everything they do.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to sound horrible to say, but like even when Tyler accidentally kills his girlfriend, I saw it like coming for like the 30 seconds before, because I was like, he is far gone.
Yeah.
He has nothing. He feels like the only thing he has is her, but he doesn't actually have her anymore. She broke up with him.
Yeah.
But he just feels
And
like...
then blocked him like right away too.
Yeah.
And is having his kid?
Yeah. Like, so obviously I don't empathize with him killing her.
No.
Obviously. But like, just him in that moment being like mentally exhausted, physically exhausted because he has his shoulder injury. Like, he's just been spiraling. He's on multiple drugs and he's drunk out of his mind. Like,
And there's no real like support system there, because
yeah.
you also learn later in the movie that the mother figure is his stepmom. So
Yeah.
like he feels a connection, but like there's also just a difference
Yeah.
between that.
He doesn't feel like he
And-
can talk to her about anything.
And he's like
Yeah.
mourning his mom still because they didn't really know their mom.
Yeah.
Because she died when they were young. So like that's just still an open wound as well. Like
Yeah.
he's also got this woman in his life, his girlfriend, who like he trusted, who's leaving him. His mom left him when he was young.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot of stuff that adds this, that makes the actual character arcs believable for pretty much everyone. Like even the father at the end has that emotional scene with the daughter where he's like,
Which is my favorite scene in the whole
oh,
movie.
it's incredible.
Yeah, I
they're
love
both
that
great
scene.
in that scene. And he's like, it's basically just like, I tried so hard. I tried to do the right thing and I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that it's not working. Like, I don't know what to do.
It clearly didn't work for Tyler, and
Yeah.
it's not working for you because I've barely talked to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite thing about that scene is he like goes in being like, I'm gonna see how she's doing and comfort her, but then like it turns into her kind of comforting him because he's been such like a figure of like, I've got to be strong and I've got to make sure that my family is strong so that if I'm not here, they're strong. And it's like, he's so focused on strength and resilience that he hasn't had time to process his own emotions and how he feels about the situation. And like, everybody in this movie feels such guilt.
But no one seems like they feel like they can talk about it
Yeah.
until kind of the end.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, like the scene happens where Tyler kills Alexis, and like obviously there's some immediate reactionary stuff for a bit, but then it's almost like not like it never happened because everyone's affected by it, but it's like he who shall not be named.
Yeah.
Where they just like don't talk about Tyler, they don't address it, they don't go visit him a single time until the very end when his stepmom does, and you don't even see the visit.
No,
you just see her go to visit, and it's just like something I wrote down, like at like when the murder happened, and then I also wrote at the end was like, genuinely, what is worse? Because we also see the reaction of Alexis's parents. We see them like reacting to the news, and then we see them at like the court hearing, and then we see them at her grave at the very end. And like, what is genuinely worse? Like losing your child, or like knowing that your child murdered another another close family's child who you also knew,
that your child like got so far into like unchecked anger, all this stuff, that he was pushed that far, and like you didn't or couldn't maybe do anything about it.
Yeah, because truly, both families lost their child.
Yeah.
Like, obviously in different ways, but it's like we mostly see the tragedy of the family of the one who killed, not the one who got killed. And I think that's what's interesting about the movie is I've seen movies where
someone
the
loses
other
their
happens,
child,
and then it follows that family, or just like a family member or whatever. You don't really see what happens in a family dynamic when something like this happens.
Yeah.
And I think it's very unique, and I think it was done really well.
Yeah. And I think that's my favorite part is like it really shows that well. And there's not a lot of movies that show that. I want to get more to the romance part because the second half of this movie kind of is a romance movie between the sister, Emily, and her sort of new love, Lucas.
Well, yeah, he introduces her as his girlfriend when they visit his dad.
But like they kind of just meet after, like when her part starts, right?
Yeah. Luke.
He bumps into her.
He doesn't even really bump into her. He like enters the hallway and sees her and is like,
sorry.
I'm going to go talk to her. And just like fumbles over and is the most awkward I've ever seen any character in a movie.
That's Lucas Hedges. I mentioned him before.
Okay.
And he's really good in this movie.
Oh, he's
as
really
like
good,
this sort of like weird, awkward teenage guy who's like obviously got some problems. But I'd like to ask you a question before we get deep into this.
Sure.
Does it boggle your mind that some people live year round in a place that's warm? I was thinking about this. I was like, so this kid just wakes up and it's warm outside? Like, I have no clue how that works. Like, I get like, oh, it gets chilly in Florida. You have to wear a sweater sometimes.
You have to wear a windbreaker.
But like, there's 6 months where we live where I don't want to be alive.
Yeah, there's a good chance that from like, not September, but like mid-October to mid-May is just like cold, wet, snowy, rainy.
Windy too. It's so windy.
Yeah. It's like arid.
And then there's just people who are like in Florida all the time.
Yeah.
It seems psychotic that's a real thing.
There's someone I follow on Instagram who like does content creation in LA. And she posted on her Instagram story where she was like, "Oh my goodness, frost on my windshield, gonna be late for work." It was just a tiny little minuscule little layer of frost. And I'm like, I know like there's a big debate about this where it's like, yeah, but they're not used to it.
Shut up.
Well, the only way that I agree with that is like when Texas had big like power outage problems and the houses weren't properly insulated because they were built for a certain climate. Yeah. Like I get that. Mm-hmm. But being like, oh my
oh no, a little fries.
Yeah. She was more posting it as a like a whoa ha 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 thing.
Yeah, but she's not funny. Who is it?
Trisha Hirschberger.
She would. What do you think about the music in this movie as well? Because there's a lot of like modern songs in it, but it's also got a score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who did like The Social Network.
Okay,
and they've done a lot of big movies.
It's a little bit Social Networky.
Yeah.
I would say I think that it is good and it matches the movie. I don't think I'd say I like it because it's very like. There's a lot of like high pitched synths that like will play a really long note and then it'll also just go like or whatever, like just do some like weird things.
It's very like anxious music.
Oh yeah, it's like
you can't write to this. You can write to The Social Network theme. You like dun, dun, dun. You can write to that one.
Yeah,
but you can't write to this.
No, it's kind of all over the place, in a good way. Like it's clearly well done.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like all over the place. It kind of puts you in a state of panic a little bit at certain points.
And what do you think about the use of like modern songs? Like there's some Kanye songs, there's some Frank Ocean songs.
Oh, I did write down that like when Emily and Luke are on a road trip, they put on How Great Is Our God by Chance the Rapper.
Yeah. And he's like, this shit's fucking sick.
Yeah, he's like, listen to this fucking shit. And he turns it up and it's just still the choir part.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, wait, listen to the drop. It's not there yet. He's like
I will say they kind of nailed that kind of thing, which is just like in between moments. I've talked about this in a previous podcast where it's just like I love in between moments or like little character mistakes because it just makes them seem a lot more real.
That was in the Kimmy episode, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because she like puts her bag
thing
on backwards.
Yeah.
And I think that's just another moment like that where he's like, I honestly think Luke as a character kind of does that thing a lot where his awkwardness just feels very real.
Yeah.
Because it's not awkwardness like, oh, oops, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. It's just like...
It's like a goofy awkwardness. It's like...
Yeah, it's like you can tell that he's trying and he's putting in effort and he's like just trying to be himself and be genuine.
It feels like he's like figured out something as a way to like enjoy life through his traumatic background, because like his dad isn't a part of his family and is also dying near the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And like his family life doesn't seem great.
Yeah.
But he's like figured out a way to like kind of stay goofy and maybe hide or maybe just get through those things.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems clear to me a little bit too that before he asks Emily out, he kind of feels a little bit, I think she feels a bit lost and he feels a bit lonely.
Yeah.
And that kind of them finding each other at that moment kind of works perfectly because they both kind of needed that kind of person. But yeah, he does have this weird sense of like he's just content with what he has. And I don't know.
One
I
of my
think it's just
favorite
an
parts with
admirable
him is when they're talking about singing, and then he's like, I wrote this down because I liked it so much. He's like, I sing Very Empire Weekend in the shower. Shit just doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Where it's like, that's kind of a perfect encapsulation of him where he's like, hey, I do this thing, but like, I'm not good, but it's okay. I still do it.
She's like, do you sing? And he's literally like, oh, I sing all
Like
the
in the
time. I
shower.
don't sing well. And she's like,
Yeah.
everybody sings well in the shower. He's like, well, I don't. He's like, I sing badly in the shower, but I still sing in the shower.
Yeah.
It's just like he kind of does something that I think a lot of people have trouble with, which is like admitting that he like tries and admitting that he's not good and admitting that he doesn't know.
Because he's also on the wrestling team with her brother.
Yeah.
So he's like a part of that thing, kind of. He's also in that sort of rat race, but like has a different attitude towards it.
Yeah. He's just doing it because it's a thing he likes, whereas Tyler was doing it because he felt like it was the thing that like he had to do that or everything would fall apart.
Yeah.
And sure enough, as soon as that fell apart, everything else
I
did.
do want to ask you a bit of a question, because there was something that I thought like was kind of funny, but also just kind of like a little too true, is when he's sort of has his first descent.
Tyler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I think it's after the injury when he like finds out that he's
I think
hurt.
it's when he goes to the doctor
Yeah.
and is told, but before he like really injures it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he like he gets drunk, he jerks off, then eats a burger and takes a bath and falls asleep in the bath.
While the bath is running,
Yeah.
and then he floods the bathroom basically, which is just kind of brushed over. You just hear Emily in the background be like, Tyler, what the fuck are you doing? There's water seeping out. And then he goes,
Oh,
sorry.
shit. Oh,
and turns it
sorry.
off. And then he just goes next scene. And I'm like, I would not be able to clean that up in time. Like, I'd be found out.
Also, I like the scene where he comes home drunk and then Emily like helps him and he's like, just don't tell dad, don't tell something. He's like, I'm sorry. And like, he's like so apologetic. It's such a sad scene, but like,
Well, it's very much
played
a thing.
so well too. He's such a good actor.
Yeah. And she's really
They're
good.
both great.
Yeah. Because she's really good at also at playing the like, because she, up until that point, she kind of
doesn't really do
plays
anything.
like she's annoyed with him all the time. But like in that moment, it's a very like sibling moment of I hate seeing him like this because he's the older brother.
Yeah.
So especially like the older, younger sibling dynamic where it's like, I'm supposed to kind of look up to this guy as like my older brother, but seeing him like this, like on the floor puking, like that's just a sad scene.
Yeah.
Like not even a sad movie scene, but just like a scene to witness. It's just sad. And I think that she plays really well the like immediately jumping into I have to take care of him.
Yeah.
And then he really plays well like just the true devastation and desperation where he's like, I don't know what to do, but also I can't seek help for this.
Yeah. Like I can't get my parents to help. I can't like talk about this with anyone really.
And it kind of shows why he couldn't get help later, because then when his parents kind of find out what's going on, especially his dad, but his mom a little bit too, they kind of just like ridicule him for it.
Yeah. And they like blame him for trying to push himself to get through this stuff, because what Tyler does is what he thinks he should do. Not like, I don't even know if he thinks it's right, but it's what he thinks he should do. Like fighting through the injury, that's like kind of what he's taught to do.
Yeah.
So when he does that and then he gets blamed for it, and like, well, not blamed, but shamed for it.
Yeah.
Well,
that pissed me off when he's literally like crying and can barely move his arm, and he's getting his arm put in a sling like right after he gets it injured, and his dad is like has his arms crossed and he's glaring at him in the locker room, and I'm like, he needs your support right now.
Yeah.
Like what he needs right now is for you to go over and be like, it's all right, you pushed yourself too far, we will see what the next step is, and I'm going to be there with you the whole way.
Because the other option is he gets the surgery and he's out, so he can't wrestle either way.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like, I feel like a lot of movies with him finding out his injury scene, it would be like, I can't get that surgery, like, I'm an athlete, this is my life. But no, he says like, I'll get the surgery, just like, let me get to state first.
Yeah, like, so I need to do this for the rest of my, like, I need to accomplish this for the rest of my life to like happen.
Yeah, so like, he's not as much like, I need this, I want this, as he is like, this is my only option. Yeah. So I just can't.
Yeah. There was another, and I guess we could put a little warning. There's like an abortion scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Where like they don't actually like show anything. It's not like Blonde. But like where they go to a clinic, and that's like such a scene that's a scene that I haven't really seen in a movie ever.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really glad that it's in this movie, because it like also just rings very true and brings up issues without like it doesn't show.
It's not beating you over the head with what it wants you to think. It's just showing what the situation is. Yeah.
And the security guard in that
I love
scene,
the security guard.
He's so good. Where he's like, look, I'm here for you guys, but don't do anything.
Yeah.
Because there are protesters outside of this, like, I assume Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Where they go to get Kelvin's girlfriend
I think they
an
go
abortion.
to get an abortion. Yeah.
So there's a security guard there, but there's protesters obviously saying, like, you're gonna kill the baby, whatever. We don't need to get into the politics of that.
Sure.
There's
just protesters out there with signs, and they're yelling, and yeah.
Yeah, and like a lot of American movies don't have this sort of thing in them, which I found really like cool about this one, especially the way they show it, where it's like, it's not, because she doesn't end up getting the abortion, but it's not like a fix-all to the problems in the relationship, even if she does.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be this thing between them where like either he pressures her into it, or like he resents her for having the baby.
Yeah.
Like those are kind of the two outcomes of this scenario.
The only, or the best possible outcome is them both agreeing in the first place on what to do.
Yeah.
But like, even in that case, there's no way that neither of them second guess at all.
Yeah.
And we're talking about them as characters, but this is also just like a world thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, anyone in this scenario, it's very difficult. And I just don't think I've seen a movie or any sort of media where this kind of a situation is portrayed just like as it is, and not like either pushing one side or just kind of breezing past it. It's a short scene, but I think it's an important scene because it just like, it's just an added thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, and it just like shows another one of these struggles that like people in general go through. And then their argument after, where he's like yelling, "Fuck you!"
So rough, yeah.
Fuck you. It's like horrible.
It's
But
hard to
it's like-
watch, yeah.
It's kind of like what would happen,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you've got just two teenagers like kind of stressed out of their mind, because we don't know what Alexis is going through really,
Yeah.
aside from like her stuff relating to Tyler.
Yeah.
But like we don't know outside of that what she's going through. Like we see that she's a cheerleader. We hear that she has some other friends,
Yeah.
but like Tyler's so insulated in his world that like we don't get a look inside of her world.
Well, even like, because it's through the perspective of Tyler for the first half of the movie, and like we kind of get that kind of thing where it's like we don't know what's going on with her, even when like he sees who she went to the dance with or to the party with, and he starts to get jealous and upset.
And she's like, "He's gay. He's my friend.
He's been my friend since the 3rd grade, and he's gay. Are you stupid?" And he's like, "I don't believe you."
Yeah.
It's like, but like that's just kind of showing that even like obviously us as viewers, but even the characters in the story don't even really know everything that's going on in each other's. I love you. You're my best friend. I don't know everything that's going on in your life.
Well, I told you about how I shit my pants last night.
That's true. On my couch, actually.
Yeah.
I had to clean it out this morning. I thought it was
You
chocolate.
cleaned the entire couch out?
Well, I cleaned out the part where you shit on.
It did soak through into the cush.
Shoot. Well,
And I made sure of that.
you owe me a new couch.
Before I shit, I said, "Hyperjet, go." And then I just blasted right into the couch like a super soaker.
Just going to repeat it for a second time just so that it becomes more real. He said that before he shit, he said, "Hyperjet, go."
And then I went, see, it didn't peak. It's fine.
The audio didn't peak.
No, it's not even close.
I was ridiculed for farting just a couple times in the Kimmy episode, and you're talking about a hyperjet stream or whatever the fuck.
We got to add a little comedy into this. This is,
Yeah.
I think this has
This
been our
will be a
most
more serious
talk
episode.
about the movie episode we've done so far.
I
So
would
let me
agree.
bring up another thing.
Sure.
To kind of get away from like the character issues. We'd mentioned a bit about how the movie shot, but the skies in this movie, did you ever look at the sky?
Yeah.
There are some incredible looking skies, and there's probably some CG that helped with that, but like,
I just assumed a lot of it was like just color grading the sky.
Yeah.
But like it happened so many times and nothing else in the shot was weirdly colored that I was like,
Yeah.
I think that's just like a cool looking sky.
but like the skies are amazing and gorgeous in this movie. There are a lot of gorgeous shots in the movie as well, and it's shot by Drew Daniels, who's worked on a lot of Euphoria episodes, and you can kind of get the same feeling as like an episode of Euphoria with the bright color palettes, and the like sort of innovative camera work in it, and the speed and the momentum that it kind of moves with.
Yeah.
Because this movie does like move quickly, even when we get into the slower second half where they're like going to see manatees and going on road trips and stuff like that, which is all really fun.
But they also play with the aspect ratio a lot.
Yeah.
Where the first half of the movie is almost all just, I think it's
16 by 9.
Yeah, I think it's just like a full screen 16 by 9.
Yeah.
And then the second that he kills Alexis, it goes to
4x3.
4x3 square, basically,
Yeah.
right? But then later, for most of the Emily stuff, it's like widescreen ratio where like there's the black bars at the top and bottom. So there's like, I think there might have even been another aspect ratio.
I think
at
there
some
probably
point.
was.
But like there's at least 3 different aspect ratios that kind of just like fit each of the moments.
Yeah.
Because, like, for the first half of the movie, you're just kind of seeing it through Tyler's eyes. It kind of just makes sense that it's just going to be normal aspect ratio. But then, like, he kills her. All of a sudden, his world has just shrunk.
Yeah.
There's, like, the
entire
only thing that
family's
matters
world
is
shrunk.
him kind of escaping. Like, not even escaping from the police, but just escaping his life.
Yeah, just getting away.
So that makes sense. And then the second half of the movie just kind of feels like, it almost feels not real.
It's like airy, it's like fantastical, it's open.
Yeah.
Whereas he's constricted and then even more constricted. But then the family's also constricted because there's some Emily stuff that's also like 4:3.
Yeah.
With that tight like box aspect ratio. And then I think it kind of like, I don't know the exact time codes of when the aspect ratios change, but it kind of opens up when she gets back into school and meets Lucas. So I just love how thoughtful this movie is, how it's shot, and then how the character arcs are all like believable, understandable, and like there's a lot of truth in the movie.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like that awkward moment, there's like a kernel of truth, the being there is like most of a relationship kind of thing. With
In that awkward moment, maybe once or twice, they say something where you go, that's a problematic way to say something that might be true.
Like when she goes, being there is the most, like that's based what relationships are. Like that's the kernel of truth.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Like it's kind of the same thing in 10 Things I Hate About You, where it's like there's a bit where you can take from it.
Yeah.
But like it's a high school teen movie where there's white Rastas and people are getting shot in the ass with arrows.
Well,
like
I don't know where About Time will slot into this, but I think that at least up to this point, these are three very different romance movies. Like I think that awkward moment is just stupid.
Yeah.
And like just like casual rom-com, whatever. I think 10 Things I Hate About You is just kind of but like that awkward moment's also still trying to have some sort of message.
Yeah.
Whereas I think 10 Things I Hate About You is more of just like a fun romp.
It's like teen fare rather than like romance.
Whereas this movie is like the whole movie is kind of just like lesson after lesson, but it's not like forced lessons.
And it's not preached.
No, it just kind of is like it's showing you a situation and then you just kind of have to interpret it in the way that like you do.
Yeah. And it doesn't
and
feel
take
like
what you can,
like it's showing these characters' lives, but they don't feel fake and it doesn't feel forced and it doesn't feel unreal. It feels like, oh, I'm just seeing this character's life and I'm not like in my head I'm never like this is too much. It all like tracks, it all makes sense. And that could just be like another thing I like about this movie, honestly, is that it's just kind of a movie about people our age. This came out in 2019.
Yeah.
We were like 2 years out of high school. Weird. But like the people in this movie are kind of around our age. It's about kind of us in high school kind of thing. We obviously didn't go through the same stuff because we didn't live in Florida where they like have something weird in the water.
It kind of just made me go like, okay, what if this happened to me at this time?
Yeah. And like the use of phones and social media is believable, which is something that you can't really say a lot about movies where there's phones and social media. So there's that element that also I connect to with it, where it's like maybe I give it more leeway, but I see the truth in these people. Like I've met these people and I've been not the parents obviously because I haven't had any kids yet.
Sure.
That I know of obviously,
but like
because
you've
been
met and
making
experienced people like that.
Yeah. And I've been like both of the kids. Like I've been the kid who's like stressed the fuck out about hockey and like
about everything in your life.
Yeah. And like if I don't do well in this, like my life's gonna crumble, or like I gotta get this perfect grade, or like I lost this fucking hockey game, or
and
like
and it being like literally the most important thing in
Yeah.
the world. But then also with Emily, relatable because like the idea of being like, I don't know if I have anything going on right now. I don't really know what I should have going on right now. I'm just looking for something.
and then like another personal specificity to me with Emily
Sure.
is my sister also like around this time was having a lot more problems than I had in school, because I was like I kind of got through high school okay.
I mean,
had
you were a genius.
Well, obviously, but she had a bit of a rougher time. So like even when we were like 10 to like late out of high school, I'd kind of just like faded into the background, and
Yeah.
I was the kid that was like, yeah, I have my hockey stuff and whatever, but I'm not gonna like tell my parents what's going on or like cause problems or like do that kind of stuff. So like
Yeah.
watching Emily just be that kid that's like, no, like it's okay, like comforting her dad.
Being like, I like,
It feels
I'm fine.
like-
yeah, I don't have to tell you everything that's going on.
Like it's something that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
When she's talking to her dad and she's like, no, like don't worry, like it's not your fault, like that we haven't talked or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know, this movie just hits me harder than like almost any movie
Yeah.
that I've watched, and I think it's just because of the specificity and the fact that this is like this is the Gen Z movie so far, in my opinion. There's a couple others that like next month we're gonna do Shiva Baby, which is like a little more considered a Gen Z movie because the director is like
Is
our
it there?
age. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Trey Edward Schultz is like in his 30s, so he's like a young millennial kind of.
Sure.
But like this is, in my opinion, the Gen Z movie, and like the best one that I've seen so far. There's another one I watched recently called Actual People that was like pretty good.
Have you seen 8th Grade?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen 8th Grade either. Because that's
Wait,
that's
no,
a-
I did see 8th Grade. I'm lying.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was good, but it's also just a tad younger.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that like if we were recording this podcast like 7 years ago,
Yeah.
we'd probably be talking about 8th Grade in not the same way, but a similar way that we're talking about Waves. It's just Waves is a little bit more
Grown up.
it's just a bit more recent, yeah.
Yeah. And another thing with 8th Grade is like it feels like we're 2 years older than that 8th grade. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Where it's
yeah.
like social media is like, because
Like the social media used in 8th grade is not the level social media was at when we were in 8th
yeah,
grade.
like in 8th grade, I was like watching Minecraft videos on my iPod
Yeah.
Touch
Yeah.
that I didn't know that I had a subscribe feed.
Yeah, like Instagram didn't really become a thing for me till like the 10th grade.
Yeah.
Whereas like 8th grade is Instagram is kind of just like the go-to social media for movies. And I think maybe just in life, maybe I'm wrong there. But
I feel like it's probably Mastodon.
maybe. But like I wasn't using Instagram in the 8th grade, but they are
No.
in that movie. But I was
Well, you
more
didn't have
bringing-
cable till you were 19.
That's true.
And then he got rid of that shit. He was like,
Kim Possible? No, sorry. Have you seen Powerpuff Girls? No, sorry.
I found hotter cartoon characters to obsess over than those.
I watched Thomas the Tank Engine
Not
about
the-
79 times.
Did you say Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah.
Not the Powerpuff Girls. You're not obsessing over Powerpuff Girls. That's creepy.
I've heard it's a good show.
No, I meant like hotness.
Oh, see, I
Because-
wasn't talking about that because I'm not a freak.
Yeah, but I said that because Kim Possible is kind of like a show where like that was like one of the things where it's like
Maybe it
they're
was one of the
hot.
things for you.
Put her there, brother.
Hey, we'll put her there. Let's
Put her
listen to
there,
this.
brother. Wow, that's a good handshake. If your handshake's not making noise like that, that's not a good handshake.
Yeah. What was I? Oh, yeah. I only brought up 8th grade because that's like another example of a
Yeah.
millennial writing and directing for Gen Z generation. Generation.
I think eighth
Z
grade's
generation.
good, but I think this like,
This is a
is-
bit more modern, and I think it's a bit
Yeah.
more accurate.
and I also think it's just a bit more universal, and
Yeah.
like slightly more honest. Because I know Bo Burnham is like like Bo Burnham has a mission, kind of, which is it's a good mission, but like a mission
It's an
to like
admirable mission.
expose how fucked up social media and like the internet and like all this stuff is, which I agree with.
Or just like expose how the current generation is like perceived versus how they actually are. Yeah.
And I like that mission, but that mission comes through in the movie.
Yeah.
In this, it doesn't feel like there's a mission. It feels like
I
there
feel
are
like
characters that have gone through something.
I feel like I feel like sure there's people who would watch this movie and be like, it's too much, or like, I don't like that they're so heavy-handed with this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm getting a phone call.
Should
I answer it?
You can cut it out.
Okay, I'll cut it out if it's bad. Hey, you're on the pod. All right. So, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I feel like, obviously, there's people that wouldn't like this movie or would feel like it's too much or it's too, not graphic, but, like, there's too many mature themes. Yeah, too intense. But, like, I do think that any generation could watch this movie and find a part to, if not relate to, at least go, okay, if this happened to me. Like, I think people could relate to the parents. Like, the parents are in a rough situation.
I wonder what I'm gonna think when I watch this movie in 20 years and I have like a kid who's a teenager, and I'm like how will I take it then? Like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, like I wonder how much the perspective would shift, because like the everybody in this movie blames themselves, but the dad especially. Well, at first he doesn't talk about blaming himself, but his wife blames him.
Yeah.
And then later when he's talking to his daughter, he blames himself. And like, if I had to put blame anywhere, I guess I would put it there because he was so hard on him.
But he's trying to do a good thing at the same time.
Yeah, but like the movie is really good at making you even understand like, but he isn't doing it for the wrong reasons. He's maybe doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
But he's doing it for the right reasons. And like, I feel like in his mind, how he treated his son was to prevent that kind of thing from happening. But it just like kind of snowballed and had the opposite effect.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like anyone can find something in this movie to attach themselves to. So I think it's I think that it's really good, and I think it could reach a lot of people.
Can I bring a little levity to the episode?
Let's bring a little levity.
You kill Olivia at a party.
Oh dear.
What's your escape plan? Do you try and hide the body?
Genuinely, what I probably do?
Well, first of all, how would you kill her?
Well, I'm assuming it's like this where it's an accident. Well, first of all, I don't think I have the strength to knock out, kill someone. He's a wrestler, so it makes sense.
This is one of those things where it's like you're in a bar fight and you punch a guy and then he falls and hits his head on a curb and then you're in prison because he hit his head on the curb.
Sure.
But you punched him to make his face hit the curb. Like, it's kind of that thing.
Yeah.
Where it's not that...
But I'm saying you ask me how I'd kill her. First, I wouldn't kill Olivia, so I'm assuming it's an accident.
Okay, so let's up the stakes then.
Also, I like how you said let's add some levity, and now I'm talking about killing my girlfriend.
Let's up the stakes then.
I'm not killing...
See that Spider-Man over there?
Yeah.
She burns it to the ground. Lando 2, Bonsai 2.
He's talking about my action figures.
Qui-Gon 2, Darth Maul 2, Obi-Wan 2, Yoda 2, Kylo 2, Captain Rex 2. They're burnt to the ground.
Break up with her and sue her.
Kill her.
Nope.
Fuck. I'm just trying to like...
You know what? You always throw this on me. I'm going to throw it on you. Oh, you're at the party. You kill your girlfriend. What you do? Oh, sorry, you do it on purpose. How are you killing her?
I think his mistake is...
I do think he made a mistake by running. Honestly, like, he probably got a couple years for running.
Oh, yeah.
So, like...
I think his mistake is, number one, you gotta, like, put a towel under her head or like try and hold the blood in her head.
Yeah.
And then number 2, when you realize she's dead, you hide the body.
Interesting. So I thought you were being empathetic by being like,
well, you try to bring her back to life, but then you're like, oh, she's too far gone. Let's hide this body.
Yikes.
And
so
that's what Hillary would want me to do too.
I was going to say you try to stop the bleeding.
This is going to look bad if I do end up killing someone.
You're not going to kill anyone. For 2 reasons.
Yeah.
1, to try and help her to not die.
Yeah.
But 2, because then when anybody finds you, they can see that you tried to remedy the situation. Obviously, still killed.
Yeah.
Very bad. But, like, at least you showed immediate remorse.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously he shows remorse later, but he does, like, almost immediately run away.
He shows remorse, checks if she's dead. When she's dead, he runs.
Yeah. Well, he actually doesn't run until a girl opens the door and screams.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. It was just like... When I was watching it, like, obviously I don't know what I'd do in that situation. He's also intoxicated, like, who knows? But, like, when I was watching that, I was like, dude, just, like...
You've done it. It's too late. You're not going to get out of the state. Like,
well, my immediate reaction is, like, tell someone, but then I think, like, he's at a party with a bunch of drunk teenagers. If he goes, guys, I don't know what to do, I think I just killed her, he's getting murdered also. Probably.
Yeah.
Like, he's getting beat up and killed, probably. So, like, I would... Like, I don't have the strength to do this, but if I had his body, like, I would just, like, try to stop the bleeding, but then pick her up and, try to get to the hospital or call 911 or something.
Yeah. It's...
Obviously, like, when you're in the heat of a moment like that, which, heaven forbid anyone ever really is... but like,
and it's not like premeditated, so he didn't plan it, obviously.
Yeah.
All his plan was, I'm gonna win her back, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so that really brought some levity to the episode. Who do you think Adam Driver would play? Unless you've still got some more things
I think
to say,
Adam
but I think
Driver would be a
lot.
good Luke's dad.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting.
Because actually, we haven't even
really talked about
Luke's
dad.
Let's do the advertisement.
Driver.
We'll do the Adam Driver bit, and then I want to talk a bit more about like Luke and Emily.
Okay.
Because we haven't really talked too much about the second half of the movie. But yeah, I'd say maybe Luke's dad for Adam Driver would be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like
Alexis's dad or something. He does like to play racially ambiguous people.
I mean, but he doesn't even really have any lines, really. I was gonna say maybe the wrestling coach.
Oh yeah,
but
maybe.
I think Luke's dad is the answer.
I think Luke's dad is the answer.
Okay, now let's talk about Luke and Emily a little bit more. Their meeting, rough. Ooh.
But it's so cute too. At the same time,
Here's the thing: I didn't even think it was that cute. I thought it was like almost 100% just uncomfortable and awkward. But then they go to the diner, and then it's pretty quickly like, okay, this guy's like pretty endearing, and like she clearly, like, you see her smile for the first time in like 45 minutes of the movie when he like makes a joke and she does a little smile. So, and I think it's clear that she just needed someone to reach out to her because she was just suffering in silence,
and like had become a social pariah at school as well.
Yeah, and I think that he was just kind of the perfect person to come along, and he also needed someone like her to kind of open him up a little bit.
Like a flower.
Like a flower.
But there's a lot of sweetness in the end of this movie, which I really like. And it takes the sort of tenseness off the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
Where it kind of like cuts it a little bit. Not to like make that less important, but to make you be like, okay, I can like calm down. There's something else. Well, there's like a happy memory in this movie.
The first half of the movie's kind of about like what happens if you have everything and then everything goes wrong. And then the second half is kind of just about healing after that.
Yeah.
Where like everyone in Tyler's life is kind of just like struggling and working through like what's next. But since we're seeing it through the eyes of Emily, we kind of see that she's kind of found the formula, which is like by the end of the movie, she kind of like uses Luke's dad as a way to kind of realize like Luke's dad is not a good guy. He was bad to Luke's mom. He was bad to Luke and then just like left forever. But like in the last moments of his life, she can see that he's like remorseful.
Yeah.
And like regrets it and is just like a sad being.
Yeah.
And she's able to kind of look at him and be like, man, my brother might actually not be a monster.
There is like, it shows like that people can not fully be redeemed, but can be redeemed in showing their remorse for like things they've done.
Yeah.
And she
or
knows,
at least even that just like doing a bad thing doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah. And she knows that her brother isn't a bad person, but like it's hard not to be like, fuck this guy. Like he's tearing our family apart. My parents are going to get divorced.
And she had like a really nice moment with Alexis at the party before.
And he killed this girl that like generally I like, and I'm sure she'd like known her because they were dating and all that stuff. And I love the second half of this movie. I kind of forgot how much I loved it because I think the first half, like, it's
the
hard.
The first half is the part
to,
you remember, but the second half is like really what makes the movie great.
Yeah. It's just like, it's kind of like a mixture between a perfect memory of young love and just like a really sweet time. Like the dates they go on, they go to see the manatees. I think they go to see manatees, right?
Yeah,
sea cows.
Which is weird though, because they don't really show the manatees in any shots with any people.
No,
I'm pretty sure it's just like stock footage that they put, and then it's like, oh, they're near water. But it works still.
And then there's like they go to that house party thing, and she like tries ecstasy for the first time.
Yeah.
And that's fun. They go to the golf course, which is like just a gorgeous, like beautiful dream sequence.
Yeah.
Where like the camera's getting the water on it and
they have sex and he comes in 4 seconds.
And he's like, I'm sorry.
That I honestly like, obviously it's funny to laugh about how like
sex.
Haha sex and haha come and haha lasted 5 seconds. But I honestly think that's like kind of a sweet scene. Cause like they both want so badly to be the person the other person needs.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of exactly what the other person needs. And I don't know. I just think that's kind of a sweet scene, even if it is like a little silly. But,
yeah. Well, like it's silly, but it like, again, there's like a bit of truth to it where like if you've kind of fallen for this person, you'll kind of be like, oh, he's like it's okay. Like even the way she reacts where she's like, hey, it's okay. Like it's all right. Like don't worry about it. It's okay. And he's like, I'm sorry. Like,
yeah,
I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. And she's like, it's okay. Like,
yeah, you're fine.
It's okay. She's just so like kind and nice.
I wrote down that she's like genuinely she's a great sister and she's like also a great girlfriend. She's just like a very kind person.
And then her like taking the sort of power to go on that road trip to Missouri, I think so. Or like Mississippi. It starts with an M. I think it's Missouri. Taking the power for like herself and being like, no, this is a thing I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Even if I have to lie to my parents, like.
And it's her kind of making a decision to do something that he wouldn't have made a decision to do.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't gonna be like, hey, I kind of want to go see my dad.
Yeah.
But like her being like, we're going and seeing your dad. You can tell that he's kind of thankful that she's made this decision. And
you can tell it sort of like it's obviously not going to fix her mom dying when she was younger, but it's like she says like, I wish I could talk to my mom. Yeah. Like even though she like,
yeah, she's like, I love my stepmom and she is my mom, but I wish I could talk to my mom. Yeah, yeah.
And even though like I think she probably does blame her mom because her mom overdosed. Yeah. She does blame her mom. She still wants to talk to her. Like it's still her mom.
Yeah.
No matter what, there's still like, I don't believe in a lot of like woo, like metaphysical stuff, but like there's a thing where it's like it's still my family, that's still my mom, that's still my dad. Like if he just dies, I'm gonna think about it for the rest of my life as to like why I didn't go talk to him, or like if he still cared about me. Like there is still that element that she understands, but he doesn't seem to understand, or maybe he just doesn't want to admit. Yeah.
They kind of work for each other because she kind of helps him to say what he needs to say.
Nice job.
Anyway, to say what he needs to say, feel what he needs to feel, but then like he also helps her by like helping her to not just be so shut in, because she feels like she can't. She almost feels like she isn't allowed to or doesn't deserve to like take any attention or like be anything. Even when they first start talking and he's like talking to her, she gives like 1 or 2 word answers. And like at first I thought that was just because she was uninterested in being rude, but I think it's just because she's like didn't think she was worthy or deserved to have that kind of attention or be desired in that way.
And then he like introduces her to new people and she's like, oh wow, like this is fun, like being a person that's living in the world is fun, and I haven't really been doing that.
And I think they're great together. I like them a lot. Also, Luke kind of looks like a what was it? I wrote down like a slightly less awkward Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh yeah,
where he's a little Jesse Eisenberg-y.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah, he's like a Jesse Eisenberger.
That should be a burger chain like Wahlburgers.
Yeah, Eisenberger.
But then they could have the Heisenberger that's got fucking meth in it.
It's got meth in it, and it's blue.
Yeah, and then your mouth gets blue, and then you turn an Oompa Loompa. What's your opinion on Oompa Loompas?
On Oompa Loompas? I didn't realize that they literally hired like one little person for that movie.
For the Charlie and the like the Johnny Depp one. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the other ones I think they hired more. But I think I just ruined your point about Jesse Eisenberg, but oh well. I think Lucas Hedges is great in this movie.
Oh, he's great. I really
every
like his
performance is incredible. Like in our last 2 movies, there are performances that are not great.
Sure.
Like some of the mains in our last 2 movies, there's like parts where they're not great.
I mean, Zac Efron's not great.
Yeah. I feel like there's sections where Julia Stiles is like okay, but she's just like written to like give this weird speech about like feminism, and it's like there's a lot of exposition in it, so she's just like saying like blah, 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 like whatever, and she's got to go through this whole thing. But this feels like they're real people. They're like incredible performances.
The dialogue all feels very natural as well. Like it feels like it would actually exist.
Do
you have any other things, or should we?
I don't think so, but I'm thinking about rank.
Yeah, so let's talk about rankings here. You pitch first. I pitched first.
I think it's number 1.
Number 1.
I think so. Very, like quite strongly.
Because before bringing up the list, I was like, I'd say
oh, Jesus Christ!
How did that even happen? You got like spring-loaded kick in there.
I was trying to push off, but you got slippery floors over here.
I mean, you're trying to push off with no leverage.
What? Just the little itty bitty tip of my heel isn't enough leverage?
Jeez. So I was gonna say I was like confident I'll put this above John Wick, but then I look and above John Wick is Kimmy, and I'm like, I think I'd rather probably watch Kimmy, but I think this is a better movie than Kimmy. And then I go West Side Story. I mean, that one was a bit of a compromise. I'd rather watch this than West Side Story.
Yeah.
Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
You'd probably rather watch Harry Potter, but like, I think this is a better movie. If we go through all the categories, script,
I kicked the table.
How it's shot, acting, casting, themes, I think this is like stronger in every one of those categories than Harry Potter, even though Harry Potter,
this movie's also a little bit more of like not a chore to get through, but it's like it's not longer than the Philosopher's Stone, but it does feel like a commitment. You know what I mean? Where it's like I'm committing to like feeling something. Like I'd say, like I've never seen Schindler's List. I'm pretty sure most people would say Schindler's List is a better movie than Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. But like, it's rare that I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and watch Schindler's List. You know what I mean?
It's incredibly rare because you haven't seen it.
Yeah. But I mean, like, well, that's why I haven't seen it, because it's like there's never really a moment I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna watch a movie with this subject matter.
But I don't think it should be dinged for having like mature subject matter.
I'm not dinging it for having mature subject matter. I'm just trying to think about like, I'm considering rewatchability in my consideration for ranks.
I think this has, and you know, to each their own, obviously.
Sure.
For me, this has a pretty high rewatchability because like, even just in like the base of how this movie is made and how they put together these like frantic sequences, I think that's an impressive thing to rewatch and look at, like how they get a lot of these shots. And the performances are like I understand your rewatchability point, but there's that on Harry Potter's side.
Sure.
And I think Harry Potter is probably a more like rewatchable movie.
Sure.
But then everything else is kind of on Wave's side. Like even the effects of the sky look better than the Harry Potter one. They're obviously made at different times, but like...
Here's what I'm going to say. And this is my final word on this.
Okay. I don't know what I was trying to do there.
You like saluted.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like when Zac Efron did when Zac Efron did the double salute at the VMAs.
What?
He took both hands up to his forehead.
That's like he probably thought he was going for like the double hands on the mouth kiss, like like to the crowd, being like, "Love you guys, mwah."
Yeah.
But then like did a little too high and did a double salute. That's weird.
It feels like a weird like cult signal.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so this is my final word on this. When we ranked Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, I convinced you to put it above John Wick. It is now like 4 places above John Wick. When we reviewed West Side Story, I convinced you to keep Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone above West Side Story. Last week, when we did 10 Things I Hate About You, you wanted to put it borderline last, and I convinced you to bump it up a few spots. Because of those things, I think I am willing to put Waves above Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
But don't just do this to be nice.
Oh, no, I'm not doing it to be nice. I do love this movie. Okay. I do love Waves. I think that like it's just very hard for me to look at a movie like The Philosopher's Stone and be like, that's not the top. But the thing is, believe it or not, being number 2 is still the top.
Yeah.
I just worry in my like idealism brain that like 30 episodes in, Philosopher's Stone's going to be like 8th, and it's going to feel weird. But I don't think that's true. I mean, it's been the number 1 spot for since
11?
episode 2.
Yeah, for 11 episodes.
Yeah, basically.
Or 10 episodes.
10 episodes up to this point.
And okay, I'd agree with that. I was gonna say, and I don't know where About Time will rank, but I don't think it'll top this list. Even though I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But so that means brand new number 1. This is rarely going to happen that,
it will.
A movie takes the number 1 spot. Yeah. But the new number 1 spot is Waves with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone below it at number 2.
We are doing Fast 5 next month, so...
That's true. That might be at number 0.
It's not worse than Hardcore Henry.
No, I meant number 0, like...
Oh, like it's
number 1.
It's so much better.
Like number 0 is, this doesn't even deserve to be on the list because it's so much better than all of these.
Yeah. I feel like once we get deep into this, we should like write out a tiers thing.
Oh yeah.
But
maybe.
like it's too early for that. But I've been thinking about that a lot because it's like, I feel like Harry Potter and Waves are kind of in a tier.
Oh yeah.
And then there's another tier after that. But About Time's next week.
Next week is About Time.
We did About Time.
It's about time that we watch About Time.
And watched a movie with a Canadian actress in it. It's Rachel McAdams.
About Time is a movie about
Time traveling love.
Time traveling love.
Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall
And
Gleeson.
Bill Nighy. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Nighy.
And Margot Robbie and Vanessa Kirby. Got a lot of stuff to get off about my chest about Vanessa Kirby.
Okay, interesting. I was just going to say Bill Nighy is my favorite part of the movie, but we'll get to that next week. But yeah, next week's About Time. You can watch it on Netflix, Amazon Prime. I think it's one of the movies that's on almost every streaming service. You can figure it out.
Seems like no one wants it all that much.
Or everyone wants it. So next week, About Time. This week was Waves, number 1 on our list now. Big deal. I hope that you enjoyed the I feel like this was like the most deep discussion we've had about a movie.
I think so.
And I liked it. Hopefully it wasn't too much of a fucking bore.
Yeah.
I don't think
we
it was
did a good job.
I don't think
we
it was
did
a
good
bore.
job.
And
I
you
think
added
we're
a
like-
couple jokes in there, like asking me how I'd kill my girlfriend at a party.
Which you will.
For legal reasons, that's a joke. You have to say it. You have to say it because you said it. You have to say for legal reasons, that's a joke. He's pretending that I killed him. I guess I could be lying and I actually killed him. Alright, see you next week, guys. How does it feel to have the number 1 spot on the episode?
Feels deserved.